Hello everybody, happy Sunday, and hello from Winky Land. She heard me starting the video in here and wah, come in here whining. She wants her dinner, so I'm gonna have to go feed her dinner in a minute. So I'm starting the video a little bit early today because I've been up all day because I went into my day job for a few hours this morning. I took some vacation time this week, and so I went in there to make sure I was ready for Monday morning. But the vacation time was I went out with Zane Braden's band out to a party in Altus with the Oklahoma governor, and presented Zane with his signature model custom Bauer Telly style guitar, and helped them out with their stage equipment and guitar tech work and stuff like that. So that was fun, getting to hang out with the governor and Zane and listen to them play. And Brent came down and joined them on sax and keys. So it was a lot of fun. So it was a very good week. Nice time away from everything, and a lot of good things going on. So today I went in, like I said, and worked a few hours in the day job, and came home and started into Tube Amp Central. So I'm gonna show you guys. I'm making some progress here in the shop on the tube amp repairs that I have. I'm going to show you some interesting little gadgets, and I'm going to show you the effects of power filtration in a tube amp, because it's kind of interesting when you actually see it in function where it's not working properly, and you can see the results of that. So I'm going to grab the phone here in a second and flip that around and show you what kind of a crazy chaos afternoon I'm having. So just one second. All right, so here I am behind the camera. This is a little GK bass amp that belongs to Zane's dad and bass player. And as you can see, it's one of the miniature ones. And I've got it opened up. So we're going to take a look inside here, and you can see that this is a tube amp. It's a hybrid amp. It's got some digital components in it, and it's also got tubes in there, which is why I'm working on it, because I wouldn't normally touch these. And I'm going to zoom in on something here so you can see this, where that circuit board is. Those tiny little components. And you can see my finger, if I can get it down here without zapping the shit out of myself. Let's see here. There you go. You can see how big my finger is compared to the components. So anyway, those are called surface mount electronics. Those little components next to that IC chip in there are all put on with special tools, and it's not possible for me to work on those with my soldering equipment, because as you can see, there's the standard size connectors versus that stuff. So it's if you try to solder on that, you'll just destroy it. So anyway, that being said, I was in here messing around with the tubes, and I found some bad solder joints on the back of those sockets right there. And I found one of the tubes, that one right there, cooked, and the socket on that particular tube was loose. And we got the thing working. The only thing I have to tackle now, it's not done yet, but you can see the fans are not running. So I need to figure out why the fans are not running and make them run. So if I flip this thing off of mute, I've got my bass hooked to it. That vibration you're hearing is my room vibrating, because there's the sound when I hit it lightly. If I take some of the bass out of it, hear that it's nice and clear. So I got the initial problem. The initial problem with this amp was that when you plug into it and start playing, it just distorted, and it was just a vibrating distortion buzz, and it was because that tube was cooked and that tube socket was loose. So once I figure out why the fans aren't running, and make them work properly, then we can put this back together, and that will be solved. And I'm going to pop over here and show you guys something else. So just one second. Okay, so over here on this bench that I'm going to show you when I turn the camera around, I'm going to show you a couple things on a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier amp. It has a buzz in it, for the lack of better description, but it's associated with the power circuit, and I've got to track it down. I've so far discovered that the amp has one bad pot that I'm going to demonstrate, and then it also had 3 bad preamp tubes in it that I put on my tube tester, and they failed, and they're physically, one of them was physically broken inside the tube. But I'm going to flip the camera around and show you the effects of how this sounds when you have a power filtration problem. What you're going to hear is the reason why there are capacitors, the big capacitors that sit inside a tube amp and a solid state amp the same way. Those big capacitors are in there to take away the sound that I'm going to show you, because those are called filter caps, and what they do is they literally act as a filter, and they filter out the oscillations that you get from the power in the wall, which is a 60 cycle flip. For a layman's term, it flips back and forth 60 times in a second. It's a sine wave, and when you put it through a tube amp, it chops that sine wave in half. So you end up with pulses, and in between those pulses is noise. So when you got the noise there, the filter capacitors are there to cut that noise out and filter it to where you get a smooth, even power without that buzzing noise. So if part of those, there's the filter capacitors, there is some other components in there, some smaller components, and there's also a thing called a choke in there, which is a little transformer. Those are all part of that filtration circuit. If any of those things have failed, then it will cause the noise that I'm going to show you. The trick to this is trying to track that down, because it's very difficult to track down a capacitor that is still functioning, so it's not shorting out and blowing a fuse, but yet not doing its job. So it's very hard to find that. So I have to do a little tricky troubleshooting and try to get to the bottom of that. So I'm going to grab the camera here and flip it around, and I'm going to show you the results of those things. So just one second. All right, and there's Winky looking at me nice and mad because I haven't fed her yet. I'll feed you in a minute. Silly little girl. She says, shut up and feed me. So I'm going to flip this around. Here's this Mesa Boogie. This thing is I believe it's 120 watts. It's got 6 power tubes in it. It's ridiculously heavy and also ridiculously loud. So I've got my green Bauer telly plugged into it, and Winky's cheering me on over here. Say hi to Winky World. So I've got the telly plugged into it just for a reference for a sound signal. So I'll take it off. Right now it's on the distortion channel, and you can hear that. The power in this thing is running through that Furman power conditioner right there, which takes out all kinds of ground hum and stuff like that. So it's getting clean power, but the amp is inducing that buzz. And you can hear when I vary the input on the guitar with my dirty pot on the guitar. It's all nice and scratchy. So you can hear that it has a variable input. And if you do that, if the problem is in the preamp, you'll hear it if you tap on the preamp tubes. But as you can hear, it's not. These 2 preamp tubes were failed, and the one inside this can was failed. And I've tested all of these, and you can hear the rectifiers and the power tubes are just fine. They've all been tested, and I physically tested them just now as I demonstrated. But that buzz is a filtration issue. It's picking up the 60 cycle hum from the lights and the wall and all that. So we've got to get to the bottom of why that is. And if you flip it here using this switch, flip it to the clean channel, I told you I would demonstrate a bad pot. So you can hear that. That's not just scratchy, because if you listen to it, I'll turn this up a little bit. You hear it go through the whole range. That's telling you that thing is completely shot. So here we are in selfie land with my hand in front of the camera, like an idiot. And so that's the deal with the tube amps. It's been tube amp central and kitty cat central, and she's still yelling at me to go feed her, so I better go do that. So I'm gonna get this all together and put all this stuff back in some sort of state of readiness for me to do the next bit of troubleshooting. So you guys have a great Sunday afternoon, great Sunday evening, and have a great God-blessed week. And everybody be safe and enjoy your week. And I will see you on the other side of Tube Amp Central over here. Bye.